Hello, hello. Thank you for popping into my channel, Everyday Immortal. I'm trying something a little bit different today. I am not reading a script, I'm just talking. Sorry if there's any heavy breathing or my voice doesn't sound great. I'm getting over a sickness, but this is something that's really been on my heart lately. I've really been processing this, and I really just want to talk about it. I want to share. Ultimately, I hope that my journey can be helpful for someone else. And here comes a car. No, that wasn't a car. I don't know what that was. Anyway, um, my early to mid 20s were a very, very turbulent time in my life. Very lost and confused, and I had this feeling one day when I was thinking about going to work where I was like, I can't live like this anymore. I felt like I wanted to die. I felt like I wanted to end it if I had to live like this one more day. So I did what we called in the traveling community, I burned my job and quit my house and got on the road. I took whatever I could carry in my car and ultimately ended up losing all of that stuff too. And I just left. I busked, I gas jugged, I dumpster dived, I panhandled, I did all that stuff. And that was pretty much the first year. And the second year, I was in this very turbulent situationship type of thing. And I really feel like that was the catalyst for this growth that I went through during the second year of my travels. I kind of used the imagery of a butterfly to describe my spiritual journey. And at this point, the first year on the road, I would consider becoming caterpillar soup. I became somebody I was not to become the person that I am now. And at the second year, where these profound trips happened, the one I'm about to describe being the first, although there were many before and after, there were 4 that I consider catalytic for my growth. At the beginning of the second year, I was in this situation type of thing with this guy, and I had been in many such relationships / situationships / obsessive limerent types of things with someone unavailable many, many times. This was just the latest, and the one that happened to coincide with my readiness to grow, I think. But I knew he was about to leave me, and if you've ever been this type of person that I was, you know when somebody is pulling away and when they're about to leave, and you can feel the abandonment coming. And I decided that I needed to figure some shit out about it. So I asked an old head to dose me so I could figure some shit out, and he gave me 3 hits of his personal stash, which I'm assuming was probably pretty good stuff. And then I asked another friend if he could dose me, and he gave me 2 drops of liquid. And so I just chilled for a while, was hanging out, and did some dabs. And when I did the dabs, that really threw me into my peak. So I got this feeling that I needed to go be alone while I was peaking. Except for my dog, I took her with me. I found a nice spot under a tree, sat with my dog, who I knew was real. I knew that I would always know she was real, so I knew she would be an anchor for me. She's wonderful. She's a great dog. She's like an angel. But I sat under that tree and let the peak come on, and I noticed that black digital ash was falling around me. That's what it looked like reality was crumbling into a black digital ash. And as I realized what was happening, and that started to freak me out, I also realized that I didn't know who I was, or where I was, or why I was, or why things felt the way they felt, why everything was so chaotic and confusing. I couldn't remember anything about myself. It wasn't the same type of thing where people talk about like their sense of self completely dissolves. I still had a sense of self, but all of the information was gone. It was like, I guess maybe what amnesia would feel like. So I was me without all the stories. And in that state, a thought appeared in my head like a beacon of light. And it said, "You did this to yourself for a reason." And me, in that storyless state of disorientation and confusion, that thought stood out, and I knew I could trust it. And I thought, in my innocence, well, if I did this to myself for a reason, then I must know what I'm doing. Something the me that knew who I was never would have thought. I would have been like, oh, I did this? Oh, shit. You know what I mean? So, yeah, that thought allowed me to just sit with the disorientation, and eventually the pieces started putting themselves back together. And then I was just really, really high, but no longer unaware of who I was. I at least had that. So after the trip, not well after I came down, I mean, like a few weeks afterwards, there was this sort of thing where I had not been aware of this before the trip. Afterwards, I was aware that there were these like forces inside of me, like a lightness and a darkness, kind of like fighting for influence over me. And immediately after the trip, and when I say immediately afterwards, I mean in the days and weeks afterwards, for a while, anytime the darkness would start trying to tell me all this stuff about myself, the light would like shut it down instantly. I mean, like bitch slap it. Like, no, we don't do that. We don't do that anymore. That was like the thought that would be in my head. But at the same time, I would get a vision of myself embracing the dark self, like accepting it and forgiving it. I would get that type of imagery as well. And like I said, that lasted for a few weeks where it was like that, and then eventually I was pulled back into the stories. But I really feel like that trip was, I had to be stripped of my ideas and my preconceived notions about myself to even be able to see that little thread of truth, and to be able to see the light self that was in the darkness, that was just waiting for an opportunity to be seen so I could grasp onto it. And I feel like the afterglow, I was being shown what I could be. No, I feel like not being able to stay in that state wasn't a failure. It was just part of the process. It was like a demo of the power that I had inside me. Because even though I didn't fully change after that, I was also aware that I had a strength that I never knew that I had before. And yeah, I guess I don't really have all that much to say about this one. I hope you guys enjoyed hearing it, and if you did, I think you'll be really interested in the second trip in this series of trips that I consider to be catalytic for my growth. And thanks for listening.